90 minutes. This show was an hour and 45 minutes.
So now you're going to tell the people that we're going to watch 2 shows next week?
I haven't decided yet. But we got to watch the Shield documentary.
All
If you'd like to watch the first Nitro as well, we can do that.
Nah, one's fine.
All right. You heard it here first, everybody.
I'm easy.
What were you saying, Vinny? Yeah, Craig, you're so easy.
I was just going to start.
That wasn't pulling teeth or nothing.
I was just going to start the review.
All right, let's go.
So
Yeah,
this
Craig.
was WCW. I think actually it was NWA at the time. But the point is, Clash of the Champions 10, Texas Shootout, February 6th, 1990. They were in, obviously, Corpus Christi, Texas. And the show opened with the first of a parade of goofy videos.
Actually, before that, it opened with a graphic of various WCW stars being shot.
Well, that's what I was getting at, yes.
Oh, I see.
It was like a shooting gallery.
I thought you were talking about the Dr. Death video.
Well, that too,
Oh,
that too.
geez.
But, like, you see, like, a saloon, and Sting will pop up in a window, and he gets shot and fall down. And same thing with the Steiners and Flair and the Road Warriors and Doom. Everyone got shot. They had Jim Ross and Jim Cornette doing commentary open the show. They promised, quote, varmints and yahoos. Then they had Terry Funk doing interviews at ringside, and Gordon Solie doing interviews backstage. Solie interviewed the Road Warriors, who promised to destroy the skyscrapers, and ended with, tell him Gordon. I laughed. Samoan Savage with Sir Oliver Humperdinck versus Steve Williams. As Brian said, they had, I guess you'd call them entrance videos. Only they didn't have a Titantron or any big screen in the arena, so we just saw them at home. And a lot of them were just skits.
Yes.
So the Samoan Savage comes out, and then we get a video of an ambulance, and Dr. Death Steve Williams jumps out of the ambulance screaming that he is a victim to rescue. Mm-hmm. He carries a guy over his shoulder into the ambulance, begins to perform CPR. Thank God he didn't get to mouth. And he ordered the driver to go to the hospital. And then he came out to wrestle.
No, then he looked out the back window as the ambulance was speeding away. It's like, it scared the hell out of me.
He is the scariest EMT in the world. Then he came out to some, and I don't know if this is the original music or not.
I loved his work chest compressions, by the way.
Yes.
Hilarious.
But he came out to like very laid back electric guitar, like light Pink Floyd. Mm-hmm. Very strange. So the Samoan Savage here will be Sam Fatu. He'll be the younger brother of Rikishi, the uncle of the Usos.
Tonga Kid.
Also the Tonga Kid and the Islanders, yes. And so Dr. Death is running wild with football tackles. And one of them asked, do they play football in Samoa?
Why not?
In the end, in 2014, I can look around the professional and college football landscape and say definitively, yes, they're everywhere. So Cornette had a lot to say in this match that you could say in 1990 that you could not say in 2014. He referred to Samoans, all of them, as big and stupid.
Wow.
If you know any Samoan people, I cannot stress this strongly enough.
No.
Don't say that.
No.
Things will go badly. Your day will be ruined.
Remember Samito?
That's exactly the Samoan I was thinking of.
Yes.
Perhaps you've forgotten the car ride we shared with him.
Nope.
You weren't there.
Oh,
I know, but I remember the story.
That's right, with Buddy.
Where he was threatening to punch me in the face while I was driving.
Yep.
And I would have been fine with it by that point.
And him and Buddy were drinking like crazy.
Welcomed a punch to the face as I was driving. We'd have a rollover accident down the road and it would all just end.
Vinny's driving, and he's so uncomfortable. And they're both drinking, and Samito is getting more and more agitated. And he's yelling at Vinny, and he's yelling at Buddy, and Buddy's yelling back at him. And finally, Samito goes, pull this fucking car over right now. Uh-huh. Sorry, Granny. And they pull over the car, and Samito and Buddy get out of the car, and they get in a fight. And he gets out of the car, and he's like, hey, man, like, just like, hey, trying to break this fight up. He was... I thought you were going to quit wrestling that day.
You're getting some. Well, I did too, but for different reasons. Okay, you're missing. You're getting a few facts wrong.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
This is the drive.
That was from my perspective.
This is the drive back to Portland. On the drive down to Portland, Buddy and Samito would not stop talking about the great rib they had pulled on a rookie one time when they faked a fight.
Yeah,
so they had spoiled their own rib. So they're pulling the same rib to me on the way back. and they're out there shoving and hollering for a while. And I turned to you and I said, is this the part where I go back and say we're supposed to be brothers? And you said, I think you should go out there. So I go out there playing along, and I'm trying to say, okay, guys, you can stop now. And Samito turned, and he shoved me in the chest, and I may have actually pissed everywhere. And I thought, oh, my God, it's real. So they got me. In the end, they did, in fact, get me. And at that point, all was jolly. And then Samito continued to drink.
Well, yeah.
And like
living the gimmick.
Things went downhill from there. Somewhere back like the first year of this site, you and Buddy had told the whole story, and I simply said that I would never get into a car with Samito again. I have managed to keep my word. It's gotten to the point where, well, I shouldn't say it's gone. I haven't seen him in close to 10 years now. But he was on one of the early shows in, what the hell was the group that ran down in like Federal Way? Pinnacle, yes. He was on one of the Pinnacle shows. It was at the mall. Mm-hmm. And I went to get something to eat. And I saw Samito in the food court. And I turned around and I left.
Wow.
I avoided the food court.
That's saying something.
Yes.
I had nothing but great interactions with Samito.
Samito's a great guy.
I never talked to him again.
I remember we were going to wrestle at that mall, and I remember looking out the window, and he was walking in.
Yes. And
he had his gear in a plastic Payless bag. That's his gear bag. Uh-huh. And he had a pair of jorts, and we're about to go to the ring, and I was like, Samito, the tag is on your jorts. Let me rip that off. He's like, hell no! Because you leave the price tag on, so it's like you ripped them off.
Right.
That was the gimmick.
I see. Yeah. I thought you said he was going to try to return them.
No, he may have afterwards. But you wanted to give the impression that you stole them, that you didn't buy them. So, yeah, that was Samito.
Yeah. So.
Wild man.
He was. So, back to Cornette. After referring to all Samoans as big and stupid, he then said the crowd in Corpus Christi would have a lot more Spanish people, but the Border Patrol had hired extra agents. And finally, he said a lot of the fans who were in the building were still dripping wet.
Wow.
Yeah, things were different in 1990.
Sure were, let me tell you.
In addition, Greg?
I was just going to say, Jim Cornette wearing a red suit jacket and green tie.
Yes.
And it was nowhere close to Christmas.
No. He's just being Jim Cornette. One of the main sponsors of this show was Ruse.
The sneaker company.
Ruse were tennis shoes, like a kangaroo. Mm-hmm. And the gimmick was they had a little pocket in them.
That's right.
I had a pair of Ruse.
Absolutely.
These pockets could hold, perhaps at the very most, 1 quarter.
Actually, they can hold a whole nickel bag of weed.
Or,
yeah.
Or, if you were in a different crowd than I was, marijuana.
Wow.
So.
Just saying.
So they're having this match, and a woman comes down and sits at ringside. Humperdinck went over, said hi, left. So Steve Williams was big and scary. He picked up the 300-pound Samoan, press landed him, locked out his arms, carried him around the ring. Then immediately after doing that, he had a textbook dropkick. Amazing athlete. And then he got the win with a backslide.
I thought this match was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought the Samoan was great. I thought that Doc was just like an awesome babyface. Had a hell of a little match. Woman was out there. It was great. Backslide finish out of nowhere. They played it up like he'd outsmarted and beaten this man with a wrestling hold.
Yeah.
It's like great.
Yeah.
I loved this.
You know what was most impressive about Dr. Death? A standing drop kick that knocked the guy in the forehead.
Yeah.
That was great.
Amazing.
I would still go with the press slam, but
that was awesome too.
He was phenomenal. The end then aired the Wrestle War 90 rap promo.
Oh my God. Should we play it here?
If you can find it and play it, I swear to you, I remembered every single word. 24 years later.
Because you did in the mirror or something like that?
I may have rehearsed this. I'm not sure. But I remembered the guy singing about Ric Flair, the champ, testament to biology, meets Sting, the dream of entomology.
That was a real line, everybody.
Yes.
Here we go. This is the Wrestle War rap. For some inexplicable reason, it is not playing. That's unfortunate.
All right. Take our word for it.
I don't know why. Why do I got no audio here? Let's try this. We'll try Daily Motion. Perhaps they will serve us better. stand by, everybody. Wrestle War 1990 wrap, which is taking its sweet time to load here. Go on, Vinny. I'll get this loaded up in a second.
Terry Funk brought the 4 horsemen down to the ring. Horsemen here were Ric Flair, Sting, and the Andersons. I guess they don't have the rights to the Horseman theme because they came out to some lame honky-tonk riff. So the setup here was, at this point, the Horsemen had been baby faces.
Actually, stand by, because this is going to start here in about 5 seconds. This is the famous Wrestle War 90 rap that Vinny did in front of the mirror countless times as a youngster. So, here we go.
Hey, homeboy, gather around. Some serious stuff is gonna go down on the Wrestle War 90. The kings of the ring all come together and do the wild thing. Lex Luger, the Steiners, Nate, your boy Sting, yeah, they all be doing that wild thing. Yeah, they all be there with something to prove. Brimming with intentions to bust the move. It's pay-per-view excitement from THE. For more information, call your cable company. Wow.
That was a different one.
That's a different one. Same guy, same concept. The other one, he actually runs down the entire card in a rap.
Damn it.
Yeah. So the Horsemen have been babyfaces feuding with Great Muta and his crew. But Sting, as a babyface, had signed for a title match to face Ric Flair. This was a mistake. And here's where they let him know. Ole did all the talking. He addressed Sting face to face. So Sting, Ric Flair called us into this company to take you out. But then you helped him. You helped him fight Terry Funk, who was in fact conducting this interview. Then you helped him face the Great Muta. You fought alongside him. And Flair called us off. And then there was the Iron Man tournament where you actually beat this man. We came down to take you out again, and he waved us off a second time. And then somehow he became a horseman. He fought alongside them, and he was a great horseman. But then he had made a huge mistake. He had signed his life away. He had signed a contract to wrestle Ric Flair. That was an unforgivable sin.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
Sting didn't understand what the Horsemen were all about?
Apparently not. So, they said that he and Arn wanted to eliminate Sting right now, but Flair, in respect for all Sting had done, insisted they give him one chance to walk away and back out of the title match. Sting was protesting, saying it didn't make sense. Flair tried to talk to him peacefully, but Ole said, no, you're being too nice. It's just, here's the deal, Sting. You have 2 hours, go to the back out of the title match, and we'll let you live. And Sting wasn't having this. He grabbed Ole by the arm. A brawl broke out. As Ole pointed out, there was 3 of them and 1 of him, so things went badly. And Flair ended up screaming that he had bought Sting the time, and Sting had made this mistake, and screamed at him to get out of this match, get out of this business. And they stomped a mud hole in him and left him lying. And this is a pro wrestling version of a UFC angle.
That was great.
Yeah. Where one guy signs to fight a champion in his camp, so he left the camp. And this, like I say, was the pro wrestling version of that.
What a fool that Sting was.
I noticed it here, but it was a couple times during the show. Nobody knew where the hard camera was.
Ole did turn his back to the hard camera at one point.
And Luger later on, and it was just an ongoing thing. It was like nobody clued him in.
How about this one?
Hey, homeboy, gather around. Some serious stuff is gonna go down on the Wrestle War 90. The kings of the ring.
Same one.
No, damn.
What a failure. Okay, I got this as
longer.
longer.
The show on the network.
It's a longer version here.
Listen, homeboy, they gather around. Wrestle War 90 is about to go down. Ric Flair, the testament biology. We interrupt to bring you a special Wrestle War 90 update.
After Sting got hurt, they had to edit it.
So I really got to go to the network of all things. Forget it. Who cares?
You guys all have the network anyway.
Everyone's over it now, so let's just move on.
Yeah. So, that was a great angle. And as noted as a kid, I watched it over and over again. Oh, one thing I did not mention that I must hear. Terry Funk conducted this interview in a black tuxedo with the pants tucked into white cowboy boots.
That better worse than Wayne going to that wedding in a tuxedo and a baseball cap.
All I know is this emphasizes my point that he is the Funk brother most like Goldust and Stardust.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. The Mod Squad versus Flying Brian and Z-Man.
Yes. Mod Squad.
What we had here
Why aren't these guys in WWE
There are
today?
a couple of
They're awesome.
a couple of points that we've mentioned ourselves in the show. What we had here in Mod Squad versus Flying Brian and Z-Man was 2 Brians versus 2 Vinnies.
Actually, I hadn't thought of that, but you're right.
Mod Squad were 2 generic big ugly dudes, had flat top haircuts, Fu Manchu mustaches, and biker cop costumes. And the baby faces were 2 good looking, athletic, fit, handsome young men.
To be fair, Vinny,
Yes.
I was a bigger fan of the Mod Squad. I liked you better than me in
There
this.
wasn't nothing. There's nothing wrong with the Mod Squad. They were competent. They were in the right spot for everything.
They were exactly what you want.
Yes. Their fundamentals were quite sound, and really everything they did was sound. But they had a very basic match. The Ross called Pillman and Zank the most eligible bachelors of the NWA. From every story I've heard, that's putting it very, very mildly. So Brian Pillman, if you've never seen him, was an amazing babyface, jumping and pumping his fists all the time. He was also a great athlete, but he threw a couple of wacky kicks that still needed some practice.
I love it when he did a high spot and then celebrated by doing a split jump, and then he did a double leaping high five with Tom Zank.
Yes, it was awesome.
It's like, God.
His team ruled. So the Mod Squad, of course, had no chance against these men but to cheat. The crowd was so upset with their double teams. So angry. Heat segment was fine. It just went too long for a match that, and to be fair, the 1990 crowd, I guess maybe the finish was in doubt at some point, but in hindsight, this heat went too long for a match that everyone knew that he was going to lose, and Zima got a hot tag, run wild, one with a body press, all was right with the world.
The finish was a little mistimed. Zank he did a high
This was
cross.
not Pillman's best night.
No, Zank did this high cross, and Pillman was supposed to drop kick Mod Squad Spike out of the ring, but he was late, and his drop kick sucked.
It turned out to be a jumping double knee.
And then Nick Patrick had to jump 85 feet because he didn't know where he was supposed to be, and it was what it was. I thought the Mod Squad made this awesome. Pillman, I remember when I had to be a babyface, and I just suck at it because I don't like to clap and jump and do split jumps and all that crap, which you got to do to be a babyface. And I just think about Brian Pillman, and he was like just a crazy man. He was a lunatic.
Yes.
He would go in there and he would do jumping, split jumps, and leaping high fives. Like, more power to this guy. But yes, this was high hilarity. This was great entertainment.
The Mod Squad consisting of Spike and Basher.
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 He looked like a basher. He looked like a bruiser.
Pillman and Zank looked awesome in this match. Some of their double team moves were awesome. We don't see enough using the ropes as a slingshot nowadays.
That's actually true.
You know, at one point he slingshotted, if that's even a word, Pillman into the ring with a double clothesline. And there was a really cool move where Pillman did an axe kick, and then right behind him was Zink with an enziguri. Just these guys were great.
A fun little... See, well, how'd you guys not like this show? This show was great.
Well, then things went south.
No way.
Really, it was just the next 2 or 3 segments, but one of those.
Come on. Cactus Jack and Mil Mascaras, what are you talking about?
Yes, everyone. Cactus Jack Manson versus Mil Mascaras.
Yes.
Before we even started, I just wrote, what a strange matchup.
Yeah.
Gary Michael Capetta, during ring introductions, identified one of them as Captain Jack.
He did, actually.
So,
let me explain this match.
Have at it.
First off, Mil was 48 years old here.
Wow.
48 years old.
He looked good.
Looked good, moved great. And then there was the match.
Yeah.
This was a Mil Mascaras match, which means he sold absolutely nothing.
Nil.
Yeah.
He sold, yes, Nil Mascaras could be his name. He sold absolutely, positively nothing. Finally, he gives Jack a tiny little bit of heat, like 2 moves. Apologize for that, everybody. This fucking Mac. He finally gives him like 2 moves, tosses the dude outside. Mascaras is on the ground. Foley goes to get up on the apron, and Mascaras just completely stops selling altogether, sprints into the ring, And then, of course, he gives Cactus Jack the drop kick, and Cactus goes flying, nesty plunge, bump, flat back on the cement, nearly killed. And then when Cactus gets back in the ring, Mil Mascaras high cross pins him clean. It's just
The first...
I was so entertained by this match.
To say it's yes, it was a Mil Mascaras match, but it was a Mil Mascaras match with a young, inexperienced Mick Foley who didn't really know how to do it. So
They made it funnier.
Mil would do like some lucha submissions, and Foley would have no clue how to escape. So Mil would just let go.
Yes.
And then
So funny.
Cactus is doing a comedy spot where he sets up a chair and then forgets it's there and trips over it.
Yeah.
And they brawled a bit, and then Mil just walked away. A stylish clash like the likes of which you will rarely see.
Whose idea was this match?
I don't know. So, and then, yes, as you noted, they do the next T plunge spot, and you're watching this, and it's just like, this is so bad. This is so bad. This is so bad. And then Mick Foley just kills himself.
Oh, yeah.
He was just on the Steve Austin podcast, Mick was. And Stone Cold actually brought this up, and
This match? Wow.
And he asked Mick about the match, and he was very political in his answer. He said something along the lines of, well, Mil wasn't interested in doing business that day.
That day. Try to have the same match today. It'd be exactly the same.
If they ever re-release this, they should have JBL do commentary.
I guess it's kind of like a legendary match in some ways, but when you watch back, it's just like,
Yeah.
This could be any goofy Raw match in 2014. It would be completely forgotten the next day, except for the crazy bump. And if it were a Ziggler match, you'd probably have that bump. We'd still forget it the next day.
Yes. Yeah. So, Missy Hyatt plugged her new gig as Ross's co-host of Main Event. She stumbled over her line, and they left it in.
They should just play this on the network today with her telling us to watch a Main Event.
Oh.
Huh.
So they went to break, and they came back. Cactus Jack was messing around with the band.
Yeah.
I believe they said the name of the band was the Tough Guys. And
The Tough Guys. And it's like a band.
All of them
It's got a great
All
name.
of them wearing spandex and eyeliner, by the way. The tough guys.
Sure.
Would you mess with the guy wearing spandex and eyeliner?
Craig, that was everyone on this roster
Oh, I know.
outside the eyeliner.
I know.
So the drummer jumped up and tore off his shirt and had got into a brawl with Foley, and it was JT Southern, although they would later identify him as a man named Wild Wolf. Oh, excuse me, no, Wolf Wild. And I'm not
Yeah.
sure which is worse.
Wild Wolf.
No, actually, that's much better.
That makes me want
Wild.
to come back to wrestling.
Wolf Wild was his name.
Wild Wolf.
So then we had...
And you could be Big Bull. It could be a team.
Sure. Why not?
Come out
Sullivan-
to that song about animals that guy just did. Wild Wolf and Big Bull.
Big Bull.
For what's Kane's new group? Woodland.
Woodland Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, it's perfect. It actually fits perfectly.
They
They'd
had
be
a
great
show.
tag champs.
They had a show at the Fat Moose Bar and Grill.
See, look at that.
Did you hear about this?
It looked like an hell of a crowd.
I heard they did one. I heard that. I believe all of Caden's inaugural shows started out with a title being up for grabs in a battle royal,
Yeah.
and this is no different.
Well, stick with what you know.
Who won?
Helen Wraith.
There you go.
Yeah. So we had Norman the Lunatic cutting a goofy promo with Gordon Sully about his Falls Count Anywhere match with Kevin Sullivan, and then they did the match.
I got to talk about this.
The
I do
promo or the
too.
match?
The match.
Okay, yes, it was, for the record, Kevin Sullivan versus Norman the Lunatic, Falls Count Anywhere. Brian Alvarez, the floor is yours.
Kevin Sullivan is facing Norman the Lunatic. And Kevin Sullivan, for about the first half of the match, just beats the shit out of this guy. He's pounding him all over the place. He gives him a body slam outside. He gives him a back suplex outside. And first off, you both remember when we used to wrestle Nate?
Yes.
You remember Big Nate? He was
Yeah.
like 6'6" or something like that. And I used to German suplex him all over the place.
Yeah.
And then I go back and watch the tape, and I was like,
Stupid.
I just exposed this entire business with this match right here.
I was gonna make a point on this.
It was so preposterous. So they're actually having a much better match than I would have expected because it's just
Really?
because it's so physical. It's Sullivan just pounding on him. And so finally they go backstage, and Kevin runs into the women's bathroom,
Right.
perhaps looking for his wife. I don't know. Norman at first won't go in. because he's a gentleman.
Sure.
So then he goes in. I'm expecting, bathroom brawl.
Sure.
Instead, he goes in and you just hear. And Gordon Soley is standing outside and he's holding a microphone to the door.
Right.
And you hear a bunch of clanging. And then suddenly the door just opens and Nick Patrick goes. Or no, first Sullivan stumbles out and then Patrick goes, Norman's the winner! No finish. No explanation. This started out as a WCW 1990 match and ended a Raw 2014 match.
And you forgot to mention, Norman came stumbling out of the women's bathroom with a roll of toilet paper in one hand and a toilet seat in the other.
Yes. You didn't like this, Vinny?
I thought this was fucking horrible.
Wow.
So it didn't help that there was a video of Norman going to a petting zoo.
He's a lunatic.
This was a strange promotion in 1990, everyone, let me tell you.
In 1990?
So they're doing this match.
Oh, it was always a strange promotion.
I got
This may have been the strangest. So Norman's gear was white sweatpants and a t-shirt that did not cover his enormous gut. He was, I realized later, at least wearing a flesh-colored tank top. So it was not just bare flesh jiggling all over the place. So Kevin Sullivan in this match looked awesome, mainly because Norman the Lunatic looked so goddamn bad. It's horrible. He's not going up for anything. So Sullivan is just, a big, strong freak of a man, slamming him and suplexing him just because he wanted to. I could not believe how bad Norman looked here. And he was just really, really fat and really, really hairy and very, very bad at wrestling. Aside from that, he had a lot going for him.
Other than that, he was great.
He fought in the ring for a while, and they fought up the ramp. And, yeah, you did the finish already, which was beyond terrible. I thought this match was awful. I went to look up what won worst match of the year for the 1990. And to be fair, the award went to Sid Vicious versus the Night Stalker.
Oh, God.
Which that was probably worse.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure that was worse. That is a legendary.
Did we watch
finish.
that just a couple of...
Very recently.
Yeah.
It's horrific.
It's hilarious.
It's an atrocity to sit through. So then I looked up the other matches that got votes. So the winner was Sid Vicious versus Night Stalker. The other matches that got finished in the top 5 for worst match of the year: the Master Blasters versus Armstrong and Horner, Ric Flair versus the Junkyard Dog, Giant Baba and Andre the Giant versus Masters and Nitron, and then Baba and Andre versus Demolition. I must watch these matches because I can't believe all 5 of them were actually worse than Kevin Sullivan versus Norman the Lunatic.
Yeah, you may be surprised.
And all those American matches, by the way, all of them were on Clash of the Champions. So you can't say that nobody saw this match either.
Good work, Craig.
What?
Choosing all these clashes.
I've only chosen 2. The first one at number 10. Maybe we'll jump to 20 next time.
Maybe we should jump to 40. What did you think of this match?
I was so upset with Kevin Sullivan because all 4'6" of him is taking a 6'4", 400-pound man and slamming him and suplexing him. You've got to be kidding me. It looked absolutely ridiculous, and I was upset that Kevin Sullivan was getting himself over in this ridiculous match.
That's another viewpoint. I would say that Kevin Sullivan is 4'6" in both dimensions, and that's a good thing. He was a thick, strong, powerful dude.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good thing, he says.
I was, in this case, I was fine with him slamming Norman around. He looked like a guy who could body slam Norman the Lunatic.
I just want to know whose idea it was to make a flesh-colored XXL tank top.
That's a good
because
question.
That person...
You know how I always
What was
say...
your goal?
You know how I always say dress for your size? Mostly to Vinny. Vinny, back me up here.
You have said that to me, yes.
Okay.
What does that mean?
It means I'm fat.
I mean... Yes, Craig?
This getup they put Norman in did him no favors.
Please explain to me an outfit that would have done him favors.
Yes. A muumuu.
What he wore as Bastion Booger, perhaps?
No. But
They did no favors either.
Something better had to have been around.
Around?
Yes, that's why I said around.
Go ahead, Vinny. Next bout.
All right, things improved significantly from there.
Vinny's like a ring announcer reading off these bouts.
Terry Funk buried people for not helping him earlier. He brought out Lex, saying Lex would have helped him. So Luger's point here, I'm going to do Lex a favor and summarize his point because he did not do a good job of getting it across. He was the heel U.S. champion, but he'd also been wrestling Ric Flair forever. He did not want Sting to get a title shot and win the belt, especially after Luger, had been wearing Flair down for months. So he ordered Sting to back out of the match, just as Flair had. And then he lost his train of thought for a bit, and Funk did his best to talk and kill some time so Luger could collect his thoughts. Then Luger said he would be defending the U.S. title in a bit, which in fact was not true, and Funk cut him off, plugged the upcoming tag match, and Luger sat there with a look on his promo like he knew this promo sucked.
It was funny because he was going along just fine. Then
I think the fans were chanting, "We want Sting," and it threw him off.
I see.
That's what I think happened.
I see.
Let's do about 10 minutes on Luger's hair in this section.
Luger's hair was great.
A long mullet that had almost a pompadour feathered down the middle look on both sides.
Yeah. That was
great.
It was
Lex
tremendous.
Luger's haircut for most of this era.
Welcome to the 90s.
And it kind of bouffant up a little bit and then swept to the sides on both.
Golden tresses.
Very, very pretty.
If they had a fan blowing in the ring, I would have fallen in love.
Yeah.
Bad English. Not the band.
He was recreating Luger's promo right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So earlier in the show, in the rap promo that we tried to play for you all and failed, they plugged a Road Warriors versus Skyscrapers match at the pay-per-view. Then the Road Warriors came out to wrestle the Skyscrapers. It was Dan Spivey and Mean Mark Callis. The Road Warriors came out to a wacky video where they were destroying cars with jackhammers and stuff.
God only knows why.
Out of all the songs that got edited off the network, Iron Man made it.
Well, I think it was actually a very poor Iron Man ripoff.
It was a cover.
It was not the Black Sabbath version.
Yeah.
But it was Iron Man. The Skyscrapers, I love this. Their hometown was Metropolis. It's a giant city. So Mark Callis, for the four of you who are not aware, would go on to greater fame as The Undertaker. Watching The Undertaker versus the Road Warriors was bizarre, but boy, did he jump off the screen.
Man, this guy was such an athlete.
He was big, he was scary, great look, and he could fucking move.
Very green, though.
Yeah?
He was very green.
He was green, but he was not horrible.
No.
Yeah, there was.
He was a perfectly competent green pro wrestler.
He had everything. And it worked out well for him.
And he was alive back then. So.
He had not yet died.
In fact, it looked like he'd been tanning because his back was sunburned.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he's probably very happy to get a dead man gimmick.
So they worked over Hawk for a while, and Animal made a comeback full of drop kicks and power slams, and it broke down into a four-way, and somewhere in here the ref got laid out, and the Skyscrapers ended up destroying the Road Warriors with chairs and leaving them laying, which led to the rematch. This was fun.
You know, the Skyscrapers are they're killing the Road Warriors with chair shots, and they're doing the old gimmick where the dude's on the ground and you swing the chair and it hits the mat on the other side of his head. Mm-hmm. So it looks like you're just smashing the dude's head in with chair shots, but you don't actually hit the guy. And I know that chair shots are banned, but bring this back.
Yeah,
it's a trick. This is what it used to be. You pretend to hit him in the head with a chair shot, and then you can get an angle over, but you don't actually hurt anybody. A novel concept, be sure.
Man. Crazy.
Yes.
This is my son's very first introduction to the Road Warriors.
Yeah, what'd he say? Why do they dislike cars?
Run screaming from the ring or from the room?
He saw him come on the screen as they were walking out. These two jacked up, these guys were yoked at the time.
Yes.
Just massive. Cameron took one look at him. He goes, "Those guys are cool, Dad."
Wow.
And then they started wrestling, and they did the Doomsday Device there at the end. New favorite tag team.
A new favorite tag team.
I think so.
You have to smarten that kid up after a while, Craig. Don't give him these unrealistic expectations.
That's right. Show him the rockers.
I was just going to talk about. Go on, Vinny. Tell me about Doom. I'll tell you about Doom.
Let him do it.
The video game or?
This is my favorite tag team of all time this week.
The really bad rock movie.
Doom was so awesome in this match with the Steiners. Just two giant dudes pounding on the Steiners. I just thought this was great. They're just out there just beating the crap out of fools. And it was a mask versus title match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was no secret who Doom was.
They openly said it's the worst kept secret in wrestling.
Yes. And they're doing this match, and the finish. First off, the match itself, I just thought this was such a great tag team match. I loved this match. And they do this finish where Rick keeps trying to unmask Butch Reed throughout the match. Mm-hmm. And finally, he has him in a headlock. And Butch Reed is supposed to shove him off into the ropes. And as he's being shoved off, he unmasks him.
Right.
But he shoves him off, and Rick doesn't have a good grip, and he doesn't unmask him.
Right.
So without missing a beat, Rick bounces off the ropes, and in running back, he yanks it off.
That's tremendous.
Butch Reed sells this as if fire has been thrown in his face. Steiner then proceeds to put his mask on, run him into Ron Simmons, and then do a rolling reverse cradle for the pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
I could watch this match 1,000 times. I would watch this match so many times on the WWE Network that it would become pixelated and snowflaked and static for everybody else watching on the network. That's how many times I would watch this match over and over again. It was so awesome. They unmasked Doom 2.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how they could figure out Doom 1 and Doom 2. And it is Farouk.
Yes.
At which point, Jim Cornette screams, "How humiliating!"
Yeah.
I always find that so funny. How humiliating to be revealed to be you. That must suck. This match was awesome.
I like shortly after Doom's debut, it was probably Ross, but one of the announcers said they didn't. Neither of them warranted being the second guy on the team, so he called them Doom 1A and Doom 1B.
Wow.
Yes, that didn't last. But
WCW had two giant black dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then one day they both vanished and Doom appeared.
That's right. Who could it be? You did not mention that Doom, and I'm pretty sure this was their original music. They had a fat-ass saxophone
Oh,
theme.
my God. This music was awesome. I would give anything if Doom returned to WWE today.
Yeah.
I bet you that doesn't happen.
Why?
I bet you that doesn't happen.
Come on.
You know what I thought was interesting? Scott Steiner.
Yes.
I pulled up Google Images because my wife did not believe me
Yeah.
that it was
that
the
was Scott
same
Steiner?
man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's had a transformation.
Different person.
No, same guy.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott was once an amazing athlete who would pick up a guy Ron Simmons' size and suplex him onto his head, and then turn around and hit a standing Frankensteiner.
Right.
He was a freak. Brian talked about it. This was a very physical match. Ron Simmons attempted at one point to spinebuster Scott through the ring, and then he took him outside and started punching him in the face. And either he has the best work punches I've ever seen, or he was punching Scott Steiner really hard in the face.
I'm going to go with B.
I'd go with C. I don't care. It's great.
Yeah, this was very physical. Yeah.
Now, I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Uh-huh.
Am I the only one that just could not stand Nick Patrick as a referee?
I never really noticed him.
I just thought he was terrible. I just hated the slide in on the side and do the count all the way over his own body, having to have his hand underneath the shoulder. It just killed near falls to me. He looked like he was out of position half the time. I just never thought he was that good a referee.
Well, I've always heard that if you don't notice the referee in the match, then he's doing his job.
Well, I notice him every single time he did anything.
I didn't even notice it was Nick Patrick in the ring.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. It's hard to miss.
So
Proceed, Vinny.
They recapped the Sting segment from earlier, and then solely interviewed Flair and the Andersons. And Ole warned Sting his time was up and he had to make a decision. And then Flair ranted and raved for a while, and it was awesome.
So you had Ole laying down the facts.
Mhm.
Arn just sat there. And Flair was out of his mind, and everybody else had to reel him in. That's the three of us.
Hey, you just compared me to Arn Anderson. I will take that.
We are the
I
four
will absolutely
horsemen.
take that.
We just need a fourth guy.
We need Gordon Soley.
It'd have to be Wang. We all triple team him. Isn't that how it works?
Craig and I just exchanged an awkward glance.
then we watch One Night in China together.
I ain't falling for that again.
So anyway.
Was the main event not an awesome match? Am I the only one?
It was very chaotic.
I love this match.
The 6 dudes in the ring ended up busting their ass. It was Buzz Sawyer and the Dragon Master, who, as you alerted me, was Kendo Nagasaki, and, of course, the Great Muta, versus Ric Flair and the Andersons. Crowd hated the Horsemen, so they were cheering for the other guys who were heels. But it started off with Buzz Sawyer. I have not seen much Buzz Sawyer.
You saw a lifetime worth in this match.
He went above and beyond. He was chopping the fuck out of dudes, and then when it came time for him to go in the cage, he would lead with his face into the cage over and over again.
I loved this match because you had 2 essentially heel teams. This was the opposite of a babyface match. It was a heel match.
I can write that down.
So all six guys just blatantly broke every rule in the book.
Well, that too, yes.
They just took turns eye raking each other. They did every dirty trick in the book. And finally, Sting comes down, which Vinny will talk about in a moment. And Flair goes after Sting, and they have this whole schmoz. And you've got Flair halfway up the cage on one side, and Sting and the crew halfway up on the other side, and they're jaw jacking and everything like that. And meanwhile, in the ring, all of the heels hate each other so much that they don't give a shit what's going on with Ric Flair and Sting.
Right.
And so they just start beating the crap out of each other again. It's just we're gonna beat each other until someone's dead. And then we got the finish. I thought this match was great. If this were Raw, you'd have 2 heel teams, and they'd figure out which guy was the babyface team, and then they'd do a traditional match, get the heat, blah, blah, blah. That was not this match. This was 6 diabolical men fighting each other.
It was kind of this match because they did, in fact, have Buzz Sawyer and Dragon Master do the first 3 or 4 minutes, and the crowd did hate the Horsemen more because of what they had done to Sting. Mm-hmm. And then when Muta tagged in, they went nuts. They were very happy to see him. And, of course, he was awesome. So, yeah, everyone busted their ass in this match, that's for sure. I love that when Flair was on the top rope taunting Sting, Muta in the other corner decided to climb the top rope, too, just because.
Sure.
So Buzz Sawyer,
as noted, get out of the way.
As noted, was a madman. He took a backdrop into the cage, and if you know anything about backdrops and cages, you know there was nowhere else for him to go but straight down onto his head. And he recovered from that. He went to the top of the cage in 1990, mind you. He climbed to the very top, stood there, raised his hands above his head, arched his back like Jimmy Snuka. Just that was terrifying. I expected him, honestly, to teeter over the other side and fall to the floor. Thankfully, he did not do that. He missed a top of the cage splash, and they kept on wrestling, and somewhere in all the madness, Arn hit a DDT for the win. And, yeah, that was exciting. That was definitely exciting. And the reason this show is historic is because Sting came out once to get Flair, and they pulled him away, and he broke free, and he ran to the cage, and he jumped in the cage, and immediately blew out his knee.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view, main event, out the window.
Yeah.
All the plans had to change. The babyfaces had to act like they were holding him back when, in fact, they were holding him up. And that was that, and things happen in life. So the match ends.
Yes, go on.
And the bell's ringing, and everyone's still fighting. And they unlock the door, and Flair, trying to save things, goes sprinting out the door, sprinting up the ramp, and just dives onto the pile.
And essentially gets backdropped.
Yeah.
Just flew through the air.
Soaring. So that was nutty. That was quite a show, I guess. Really, it was just the 2 segments I hated in the middle.
Yeah, I had no problem with this show, Craig. You picked a good one. I enjoyed this show.
The match, I think you guys enjoyed the match more than I did. The spectacle around Sting and Flair was kind of the focal point. And there wasn't much to the match except for the maniac Buzz Sawyer. I much like Vinny, haven't seen much Buzz Sawyer either. Arn's throwing his head into the cage, and he's not putting his hands up.
No, he's a wild man.
His skull is
crazy man,
smacking off of the cage.
Yeah,
and as Vinny said, the backdrop onto his head. The man's just out of his mind. And Muta was a highlight of the show, obviously. Except for one point, he was somebody was tied up in the ropes. I can't remember exactly who it was. Muta jumps up in the air and throws about 4 kicks with both legs. I don't know how to describe it.
He had one hand above him on the cage and one on the rope.
Okay.
And it was essentially riding a bicycle in midair.
Yeah. That looked ridiculous, but I popped anyway. But no, this wasn't a bad show by the end of it. Why did I pick it? I couldn't tell you. But I know we're watching next week because you already picked it, Brian.
Indeed, I did. I did pick it. Let's play a song here, everybody, before we wrap it up. I found a classic. It does not fit this time of year, but oh well. I like it, so I'm going to play it. Here we go. Jeff Hansen, are you ready? Here we go. Hansen. Handsome Jeff Hansen.
Okay.
I'm just going to play it. Then they interviewed AJ, who I believe referred to Sting as Stink. What the fuck's up with my voice? Here we go.
Stink, you're wrong. Stink, you're wrong. Stink, you're wrong. That's what he said.
Don't blame me. I hate this show. I just have lost it. Stink was wrong. Stink was wrong. Stink was wrong. And why was he wrong? Because he saved Kurt Angle's life when AJ was trying to kill it.
Yeah.
Winner! That is why Stink was wrong. Stink was wrong is funny. But it's also funny because...
You're giggling now like you were giggling then.
This show's so fucking stupid. Stink, you're wrong. I guess that was topical since Stink broke his